Demon Slayer. It made a bank, meaning it generated tons and tons of cash. I used to have this big misconception about anime. For the longest time, I thought it was goofy, that it was kind of over the top. It wasn't based on any show I had seen, just some random clips and things that hurt. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some heinously goofy anime out there that I will never, ever spend any time on. But I was wrong. Overall, I was wrong. It was a false impression. You can't judge the entirety of anime based on a few things and then paint the whole thing with a white brush. I mean, at the end of the day, anime is just anime. And by that I mean, it's not one genre, right? It's just a medium for storytelling. It's multiple genres. It's animation of multiple genres, whichever genre you like. Oh, by the way, I've briefly talked about anime or animation not being a genre in a previous video. You can check it out if you want. When I heard the word anime, the first thing that would come to mind was, or I should say, one of the first things that would come to mind was crazy Dragon Ball Z fights, or Naruto screaming, or, some crazy JoJo pose. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Quick disclaimer, for what it's worth, I haven't seen most of these really popular anime, so I'm not going to sit here and try to review them. I mean, even if I did, I frankly would have to go into hiding if I expressed my subjective opinion on some of these extremely popular shows. Man, some of the fans, they just wouldn't take it. Jokes aside though, anime for me was pretty much synonymous with shonen anime, meaning if I heard the word anime, I would only think of shonen anime. That's simply all I was aware of. Not that I knew of the word shonen anime, but looking back now, that was pretty much my impression of anime. All of anime. Don't get me wrong, I love shonen anime too. I've seen the Narutos of the world. The shonen genre has some really good shows, really entertaining shows. It's just that if you show someone who's never seen any anime a random out of context clip of Naruto going while talking to a frog, I don't think they're going to be left with the best impression. It's really sad though, because the show's pretty good. However, it does take a little bit of time getting used to the shonen style and the shonen way of storytelling. By the way, this whole time I've been pronouncing anime as anime and not anime or shonen anime. なぜなら、単純に英語で話すんだからね。I don't have to switch to a Japanese accent to 標準語というか、東京弁というか。It's unnatural if you're not speaking in Japanese, We love our weebs. We love our otakus. But man, sometimes some of them really expect you to talk like this. Oh yeah, the Itachi versus Sasuke arc was really fire. Not a big fan of Zetsu exposition dump. Not a big fan of Zetsu just constantly explaining what was happening on the screen. But nevertheless, the animation was just incredible. Also, I really like the fact that Jiraiya sensei's character was further explored in the next arc. It was just a banger after the other. ちょっと不自然じゃないですか? It would kind of sound like this if it was the other way around. ねえねえ、来年 Avengers 新作出るの知ってる? もちろん X-Men と Thor でも出るんでしょ? Spider-Man も噂あるよね。敵誰になるんだろう? It just sounds a little weird, right? The tongue is used to a certain flow. It's used to a certain pattern of phonetics. So, if you're speaking Japanese, then it's Japanese. If you're speaking English, well, it depends on the accent, but you get the point. Actually, just a quick point on accents before we go back to talking about anime. I see a lot of people in the Japanese learning community, and even Japanese people studying English, obsess over accents and pronunciation. And by the way, I'm all for it. If you want to improve your pronunciation or your accent, go for it. In fact, I even encourage it. But please don't let it hold you back. I see so many people studying languages shy away from talking to people because their accent is not perfect. Oh, what if I sound too weird? What if I sound, in the case of Japanese, too 外国人っぽい? First of all, that's okay. Of course, you're not going to speak with proper pronunciation right from the start. But you know what's actually going to hold you back? What's going to slow you down from getting there? From getting closer to sounding more native-like? Overthinking and worrying about others. The key here to improving your pronunciation or your accent is, pardon my French, but not giving a shit. Some people are perfectionists, and their perfectionism holds them back from exploring and testing things out. Just talk to people. It's not scary. Your accent is not going to be a problem. It's not going to be problematic. I promise it gets better over time. But I will say, at first, it'll feel awkward. It'll feel strange. You're trying to imitate how native speakers talk, and some people feel so awkward that they don't even try. That's not going to fix your accent or make it sound better or more native-like. Accept the awkwardness at first. Actually imitate how native speakers talk. You'll be surprised by how quickly you get used to it. Essentially, fake it till you make it type of thing. Which, by the way, means keep pretending at first. Keep trying to imitate something till it starts feeling natural over time. That was a long tangent, wasn't it? Now back to anime. So I was talking about how I thought anime only meant shonen anime. Anime only meant shows like Naruto or Dragon Ball Z. But of course, later I found out that there's so much more, like isekai anime, slice of life anime, mecha anime, and so much more. I also discovered a hidden gem that had been kept from me for the longest time. Ghibli movies. Can we talk about how amazing Ghibli movies are? My god, even if the stories aren't always the best, the animation is just heavenly. I mean, look at this. Look at it. It's so goddamn beautiful. The last Ghibli movie that I watched was the most recent one, The Boy and the Heron. 日本語のタイトルは君たちはどう生きるか. It's special for me because not only was it amazing, but it was also the first Japanese movie I ever saw in theaters. There wasn't a whole lot of talking, so it wasn't very challenging to understand what was being said, but it was challenging to understand the meaning of the story. I like when a movie makes me think. Sometimes you gotta rewatch something to get the full experience. And mind you, this isn't to say the movies should be incomplete, but rather, it's kind of nice when you're left with some food for thought. Anime has been popping off recently, like crazy. Especially, Demon Slayer. There's Demon Slayer, there's Chainsaw Man, but especially Demon Slayer. It made a bank, meaning it generated tons and tons of cash, tons of money. I'm glad they made money. I think the industry needs more competition. That's just going to encourage the Disneys of the world to invest more into creative storytelling. Be a little bit less risk averse and more explorative.
ということで、ここに終わりにしたいと思います。僕はアニメについてあんまり詳しくないけど、興味あるから話をしようと思って動画を作ることにしました。でももっと詳しくなりたいから皆さんのおすすめのアニメとか大好きなアニメとかぜひコメント欄で教えてみてください。はい。そう最後まで見てくれて本当にありがとうございます。また次の動画でお会いしましょう。